The Outstanding Alumni Award is presented to an alumni who has achieved singular accomplishments in their field, whose successful careers are role models for our students, and whose achievements set an example for all alumni in the School of Engineering Education. Rex Carter is such an alumnus. Enrolled in Purdue in civil engineering, at the end of his first year he met Professor Dick Grace, who was then the head of interdisciplinary engineering, and that led to him creating his own program which sort of combined his interests in planning and architecture and other things into a program in the interdisciplinary engineering series called Engineering Urban Systems and Transportation. So I'd like to share a few words from Dick Grace, who sends his regrets for not being here. He's in Florida, but he doesn't know how great the weather is here. And he wrote a quick note, and he said, and I quote, "Rex Carter is a wonderful choice for Outstanding Alumni Award. Please give Rex my best regards and tell him that Connie and I will raise a glass at the sunset over the Gulf of Mexico and his family for this award. Hail Purdue." End of quote. So from Purdue, Rex went to work for Booz Allen and Hamilton on a tip-off from Dick Grace. Did that work in Cincinnati. This is a management consulting company. Got him into the airline industry. He's looking at things like the flow of passengers and what goes on in airports generally. This led to a role in Texas International Airlines, which later merged into Continental in the early 80s. And at Continental Airlines, he was given an assignment which made him appreciate how much business really depends on making effective use of information technology as we know it now, but information management systems. Basically how to make them intelligent. You know how we all have to go to the tech store and work out, well, this is an old problem which really Rex helped to overcome. This was the dark ages, but some of you are old enough, you remember mainframe computers and cards of Fortran code and all sorts of wonderful things. But it seems that the culture in those sort of places was still the same. There was some mysterious occult group that no one else could understand. So Rex's career has really been about being that bridge between this strange group of people and business people to make it all work together. And it really goes back, as I've heard today, to one of those serendipitous lessons you get. It's not in the syllabus, but it happened in an aside conversation at an English class on a Saturday morning. And when essentially he learned from a TA in English that to be a good communicator is to be a good engineer. And this is something he's taken to heart, and it's really something that's seen him through his career. He went on working with Continental Airlines, integrating in the technology group. Later that was spun out to EDS, Electronic Data Systems, part of HP. Subsequently, he was the Senior VP and Chief Information Officer at Carlson Global Travel, Hospitality and Marketing Services Company. You know it as Radisson and TGI Fridays. Along the way, he dabbled in that interesting period of time, the dot-com bubble. We're allowed to mention Home Grocer. No, you can talk.
All suits have ended.
Yeah. But he continues to have a connection into the venture capital business, which supports these sorts of things. He went on to become the VP at the Tanner Company, which is a global group involved with supply chain management, quality, customer service and things connected to China. Currently, Rex is the Executive VP and Chief Information Officer at Hitachi Data Systems, which is the Information Technology Division of Hitachi Limited. This global engineering and electronics corporation is engaged in, amongst other things, high-speed rail, nuclear power plants, power grid development, healthcare systems, X-ray, MRI, a whole range of things. And if we had to sum it up, what Rex really takes pride in is in growing successful teams in the workplace and help employees to really develop their careers, really to be the best that they can be. And this is really built around this core idea that goes back to that earlier incident, which is to understand that information technology is really a key to business success. The key to that is the people and making that intelligible to other parts of the business, and to customers and all sorts of things. And so that sense of working at an interdisciplinary face to help move things forward, where it's not just the technology, it's the people, is a truly appropriate reason for us to honour him as an outstanding alumnus of the IDE program. So, School of Engineering Education is proud to present the Outstanding Alumni Award 2014 to Rex Carr. So what I'll do now is invite Rex to say a few words.
Thank you, David. That was quite lovely and makes me sound much better than I think I really am. And that's kind of a continuing theme as well. A few months ago, I was in Boston speaking with a bunch of customers about how better to run their information technology organization. My wife called me, which is rare. I thought, oh no, what's wrong? And she said, well, you got this funny Federal Express envelope from some people at Purdue, and they're talking about an Outstanding Alumni Award. I said, I'll throw that away. It's a couple of my old fraternity buddies played a joke on me. But in fact, it wasn't, and I can't tell you how honored I am to receive this award and how humbled I am to receive this award. It is just such a remarkable thing and a wonderful thing, and it's given me an opportunity to really reflect back on the past 40 years about a career. And a career began with a lot of good luck, I would say. You know, it starts with having a great set of supportive parents. When you're not quite sure you know, where the money's going to come from, and they say, well, Rex will figure it out. You know, we'll make it happen. It also, being lucky enough to be in the great state of Indiana. And I was good at math, and somebody told me a long time ago, well, you're good at math and science, you ought to be an engineer. So when you're coming out, you're talking about, well, where are you going to go to school that you can afford? You know, Purdue's a pretty darn good choice. This is a world-class organization renowned for engineering. Of course, I didn't know what being an engineer was, but it sounded good. Somebody told me it was okay. And that was part of the turmoil and stuff that I was going through when I happened into Dick Grace's office a very long time ago. And the other lucky thing was, it was not a real positive, upbeat time in the country. And I don't see many of you old enough to remember all this. But, you know, we had a little Vietnam conflict going on. We had cities being burned. We had, actually in 1969, you know, we took over the student union. And they called out the National Guard. And that was an interesting time on campus as well. But, you know, there are a lot of people that had the opportunity to be negative and discourage people from trying to be better than they were. And that was not the university. It was not Dick Grace and his office. And they said, well, we'll figure this out. And we'll figure this out. And we did. So the engineering education, I learned through a period of time what it meant to be an engineer. Great support, great positive reinforcement along the way. And I cannot imagine a better education to have obtained. I've talked about it today to a number of groups, and there's no better thing to learn than a set of engineering disciplines about how to be successful about anything you want to do. And I looked at the young students today, and I just thought how lucky they are to be at this great institution, to be in a great engineering program, and to develop skill sets that are going to serve them regardless of what they want to do moving forward. Now, my career took me to different places. And as David so eloquently said, it took me to a place where I was asked to go deal with a bunch of people because nobody liked them. They couldn't understand a word they said. And he's right. You're only as good as what you can communicate and how you can relate to other people. And, you know, in the last 40 years, I've thought back, had the opportunity to reflect back the last 40 years about, you know, what's contributed to this. And I would just say there are these little snippets of positive encouragement by a lot of people at Purdue, from a teaching assistant at a 7:30 Saturday class, which I was happy to hear they no longer do. From Dr. Grace himself, from Harold Michaels, who is a legend in the transportation industry, challenging me to do better, from Aldo Giorgini, who made actually learning fluid dynamics fun, and many, many others. In my career, I would say there's been a couple opportunities where people have said things to me. I had a wonderful boss at Carlson Companies, and she asked me one day, she said, "Are you the best Chief Information Officer in the world?" And I thought, well, it's kind of an odd thing to say. What in the world is she talking about? But it made me start to think, and I said, well, what is it exactly that other people see in someone else that motivates them and charges them to do differently? And as I reflected back to all that positive encouragement and all that time from people, and did I do enough to say thank you to all of them that gave me those words of encouragement? And you know, one of my big regrets is I never said thank you enough to those that saw something in me that I could not yet see. And I would just say to all of you educators, all of you people at the university, all you parents to your children, you know, look for something in them that they don't see yet and give them that positive encouragement. And you know, one of these days they will get an award and come back 40 years later and say, thank you. Thank you for those small moments of truth and encouragement and positive statements that help you have the success. So for those of you getting ready to go into the world, Robert, you're in a great place. You're coming out of a world-class institution. There's nothing better on the globe. Feel proud about that. You've got the best possible education you can in engineering behind you. You've got the confidence to do anything you want to with your career. And I would just encourage you to go back and do good and be positive and see things in other people that say that they might not yet see in themselves. So, you know, for Purdue University, thank you for seeing that in me. For all the IDE program, thank you for providing that to me. And I'm just humbled by this, and honored and hungry to try to find that encouragement in others and to see in them what they may not see in themselves. So thank you so much for this. Thank you for being here.
I might deviate from the script. I just said, I gather that you never had the opportunity to actually walk across the stage to receive your diploma because you went off to work. So, is that correct?
We skipped the ceremony.
So, given that your parents are here this evening, let's make this as the equivalent to that. So, 40 years later, you've at least been able to be recognised on a stage at Purdue for your achievement. So, I hope you enjoy the evening for that reason, if for no other reason. So that's the end of formalities. There'll be opportunities for taking photos and other things later. Continue your dessert. You don't have to all rush off. There's coffee and other things, and continue the conversation. So I thank you again for being here and for sharing in this really important annual event which brings two generations together, the history of IDE, the history of this school, past, present and future. I thank you. Good evening.